All right, welcome back to this week's edition of the After the 5. It's August 18th, 2018. I'm here joined, as always, by Ann and Carter. How you guys doing today?
Great. We're doing just fine.
Yeah. Super. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
We had a busy week this week, actually. So a number of stories hit on in the Fast 5. We talked about Walmart. We helped me out here too. Kohl's, Google, Sainsbury's even hit the news, and of course Kroger with Tmall.
Right.
Totally.
So did any of those things, any of those speak to you this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this week, we were just talking about this, but what I feel is happening is what I like to call the H is O, Chris.
The what?
The H is O.
The H is O.
The heat is on.
The heat is on.
And I'm not just talking about this room
Our
right
studio?
now.
Yeah.
But
the heat is definitely on.
I think that, this week what was really apparent to me is that stuff is, in motion. Like the Amazon Go, Sainsbury thing, we're seeing, I think every week there's a handful of people that are coming out saying they have a technology or an experience that's comparable or competitive with what Amazon Go is doing. So I think that's just going to continue to ramp up.
Well, the Sainsbury stuff, I mean, I think it's interesting, and I don't know the whole gamut of that experience, right? Is it full on Amazon Go?
Starting with the Sainsbury story. Okay.
I know. Well, sorry, we dove right in.
Sainsbury, basically, they're going to do checkout free experience a la Amazon Go in one of their London stores. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, not knowing the specifics of it, but I think what we're going to see is portions of Amazon Go being segmented out and being used to enhance the consumer experience in store, even if it isn't the holistic, perfect automation that Amazon has been able to figure out within that Go store, right? So for example, Amazon might be the best at everything from the time you walk in to the time you leave. They've got it all figured out. But I think you're going to see some of these retailers trying to say, well, we might not be able to do the entire thing, but maybe we're tracking inventory with weighted shelves, or maybe we're tracking movement within the store using CCTV, which are all pieces of technology that are super attainable by almost any retailer today. So we'll see how those things come together. I think, though, the true magic, as we all know about Amazon Go, is how those pieces of technology come together into an experience that's, perfect, right? Or as perfect as it can be today.
Right.
Yeah, but perfect in the sense it still tops out. I mean, I wrote a piece about this where, the downside of that is it doesn't separate the idea of shopping from buying, right? It still makes them very much one and the same. So in certain use cases and certain sizes and scales, that's going to become a problem. But I think to your point, what's interesting about what you said to me is also the fact that everyone seems to be now using the marketing handle of I'm making Amazon Go. Like it's this beautiful, North Star that we're all trying to get to. But I don't think it is. Like I'd rather people be saying like, hey, we're doing this different. We're going to try to make this experience better and take some of the core principles of it. But there's actually really better ways to do it. And we're going to actually start using some of the people to help us make these things that actually know what the hell they're talking about.
Well, the other thing, too, is it's like Amazon Go is no longer a new concept either. Like this idea of this North Star that we're all trying to get there. It's like we're now 2-3 years behind the times. Easy. And at the end of the day, that's a long time to sit and wait.
Well, and I think that the big part of this is that Amazon was first to market. Amazon has the biggest budget to actually put this into market. The scariest thing, so they were able to do this. But I think what we're going to be watching now is who's able to do this faster with fewer pieces of technology and who is able to get a scaled version of that to market quickly. And like you guys said, there's tons of people who are using that as their marketing handle now. Like we do Amazon Go, but with less components, fewer components, and less expense too. So
and in the right use cases, right? Like that's the other thing. Like in the right use cases, whether it's the size of the shopping trip, the size of the amounts of transactions, and also the right demographics, right? That's what I think is funny about this too. Is everyone's rushing to do this within their core operations. It's like, well, hey, why don't you just start building new things for an entirely new population that maybe is within your store or completely separate? Like so many different ways to think about it. But yeah, you see kind of the creature of habit mentality of retail always that comes into play. So. That's funny. That was the story that you guys first.
Here we are.
Amazon Go on the mind. Always on my mind. All right. What else?
Let's talk about Google for a second.
Google?
Yeah, you trashed.
I'm not surprised at all that you want to talk about.
You trashed it. You trashed it
pretty hard.
Pretty hard. And I think.
Store.
Yeah. So Google has this new store, right? And I think where I differ from the opinion is I don't think this is their play into retail. I think this is a way to debut their hardware products in a showroom-like mentality. And you're seeing it happen. So, you see Amazon pop-ups in Best Buy. You see now Google pop-ups in Best Buy, right? And Best Buy has become really this place where these technology companies have a audience to showcase now their new hardware products that they're going after. So for Google to like spin up a flagship store, a la like an Apple store, where they can now showcase all of the new Nest products, all of their Chromebooks, all their new phones, in a place that they can control the entire ecosystem rather than the 10 by 10 space in Best Buy, I think makes a ton of sense.
So basically you like this. I mean, this one's going to sound really critical, but so basically you like this because now their stores can look like the Microsoft stores in the malls?
No, I'm saying I don't think this was a play for them to get into retail. I think this was a play for them to further their reach in hardware and showcase that in a unique way.
Kind of like the Apple mecca of our products, kind of.
Right. So where, their products are beautiful. A lot of them are really personal. There are a lot of smart home, laptops, things like that that we might be, a little hazy on buying online, or it might be a new product that we don't even know about. We need to talk to an expert about configuration or whatever that might be. A reason for an incredible in-store experience. And if Google can put that experience in a marquee market and start with one test store, I don't think this is a play for them to start selling bags of chips and other accessories. I think
that's a really good point.
It's a place for them to showcase their expanding hardware line, especially in new markets like smart home.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think
so. That's my take.
I think that makes sense. I'm curious to get an answer, but I think that makes sense to me because at the end of the day, I think what I don't like about it is just really old. It's like it's just something that's been done lots of times, right?
Sure.
It's like just a traditional way of thinking about retail versus Google has so many opportunities to actually disrupt retail in so many different ways.
Totally.
Mainly through what their marketplace and
the last thing is
voice
some of those companies were even hiring their own staff to be placed within the Best Buy experience because then they knew that they could handpick and create product experts that were specifically for So all of a sudden you're paying. I think it was just a matter of time.
I guess it prepares you for that kind of retail rental model too. That seems like more people are going after as well inside of stores. What do you think, Anne?
I mean, first of all, I think I have a few things to say about this. One, look at where they're building this space. Okay, Fulton Market, it's an up-and-coming neighborhood in Chicago. I think to Carter's point, there's absolutely the need for Google to go into this space and to create a new, unique experience. I do not think if Google is smart, they're going to put a Microsoft Mall-esque store in there. I think I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and this is going to just be like they're going to come out and guns blazing with this store, and it's going to be a full-on like experience center, lots of home and IoT products that they're going to bring to this experience. And I mean, it's 14,000 square feet. It's a significant showroom size, and I don't know necessarily though that it has to be all home products, and that's what the Chicago Tribune is speculating is that they're going to showcase products, which is an obvious thing to suggest that they might do. But Google's smart. I think that there's also no reason that they couldn't have the home products featured and like selling bags of chips like all Amazon. Like to your point in your Forbes article, I think that what you're really gleaning from what the possibilities of retail, physical retail are for Google is that they have all of this data about all of the people that are shopping, that are driving, that are walking, that are taking Ubers and Lyfts around that area. They know a lot about who the people are in that market, and they can pretty quickly, design the product and what the experience is going to be.
That would be cool. That would be cool if they started putting that capability on display versus. Right. I kind of envisioning this when I hear you guys. It's like somewhere in between. Like I think Microsoft stores are great for what they're trying to do, right? Like, but that doesn't feel right to me for Google. Nor does Samsung. Experience in New York, which we haven't seen any more of those either. So curious how successful those are. Where it's just like this mecca to technology,
right?
Experiential technology, like. That would be cool, right? Like you found some middle space in there where it is kind of a mecca to technology, but also maybe like using some of their other data.
Yeah, I mean, look at what like a Samsung did in the meatpacking district in New York. Like you're not going to just put in a like baseline experience in those kinds of places. Like you want people to come. They're going to be, there's visitors that are going to be coming through that space. Like you want to give them a reason to come to the space. And I don't think that just doing a basic display of products, even like an Apple Store type display of products is going to get them in there.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. That's funny. Like, I'd be curious to see like how replicable it is, right? Like, is this just like a kind of flagship thing, like a Samsung, or is it something they're going to start populating everywhere? I guess we just don't know yet. Like I think you were saying beforehand, like there's not a lot of information so far.
Right.
I don't know, anything else on that?
I mean, I think we also have to remember how successful these days, services are in terms of like repair as more Google products are there. Now is a place to bring your Chromebook, to send it in or your Pixel or whatever it might be. And then also workshops as Google continues to expand their reach in terms of service and offerings for like families and entertainment. All of a sudden, Google's making a point to be more part of your daily life. And in order to increase that adoption, they're going to need to figure out how the education piece comes to life.
You're our resident millennial. Where do you, on that spectrum, like the hardware spectrum, the showcasing their full product capability, and then even including services in it if you want, where would you put them right now?
I mean, they're up and coming, right? Like I think Amazon
they're not top, right?
In terms of what, IoT or in terms of hardware?
Let's say.
Well, IoT is interesting.
Let's just say like the impact on someone's life.
Yeah, well, Google, Google has looked
outside of the search.
Sure, right. They, with their hardware features, they have come out and really found this interesting market in education, right? With their Chromebooks, really powerful, really easy to use, awesome machines, especially for students and people who don't need a full-on laptop capability for a few $100s. And education obviously is a big piece with that. And then with Nest, they've been able to expand beyond the thermostat, and now they're doing this whole smart home move. And then they have, their Chromecast and then Google Assistant World, which is a whole nother thing. And then, the services that are behind that, everything from Drive to all the docs and everything like that, create this entire Google ecosystem that now can challenge Amazon in-home products, Amazon services, Apple in-home products, Apple services. And so you see them going against each other and trying to figure out how do we, as an up-and-coming challenger or an up-and-coming, Goliath in this whole thing, how do we ensure that we're supporting that in a way that is easy for new homes, new customers, or customers that are expanding to say, I've always used Google Search and I have Gmail, but I got 2 kids that are going into 8th grade and 10th grade. They both want laptops. We want to do this Google Assistant thing. We're already into Chrome and we're already into Chromecast. They have the tools in place to reach the entire household.
So I think I hear what you're saying too. Is like we just don't know yet, right? We don't know who's going to win this battle in this kind of ecosystem that you're talking about, right?
Right.
Kind of,
you have sub ecosystems too, right?
A good start at it.
Yeah, totally.
Did you see? I don't know if you saw this week too that Alexa is now going into all of the St. Louis University dormitories.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they signed a huge deal there too, where it's just going to become standard issue equipment for a student that moves in.
I'd be curious what the price point on those Alexas were, because I'm sure it wasn't much. I think it's the same thing as giving Microsoft Office away when you were in college, saying Microsoft Office was $400 if you got it from the store, or $4 if you got it from your university. And the idea is, well, if you just use it day in and day out, the time you move on and buy your first house or rent your first apartment, it's like, well, I already know Alexa. She already knows me better than I know myself.
Yeah, that's why I can't get off Excel and use Google, Sheets or whatever.
Totally.
It's super hard for me. All right, what else? Did you, Kohl's, I bet, hit your guys' radar screen. Did you guys, what did you think of the Kohl's return story as an example?
Well, I think that it's great that they're expanding the offering, because I think it gives them a better picture of how this is working. And I think, what kinds of products people are buying, and then, once the individuals get into a Kohl's store, what their activity is, if any, right now. So what I really want to see,
you have to study that first.
What I really want to see from Kohl's also is, Dan, one of our OmniTalk contributors from time to time, was talking the other day about how he made a purchase on Amazon and it ended up getting shipped from Kohl's. So what I think...
On Google, actually. It was Google.
Sorry, on Google, yes. But, similar types of behavior happening where, you're pulling from the store or distribution center closest to that individual. So I think if I were Kohl's, I would start to look at what those purchases are. Like what are they shipping out of their stores? What are the products that people are coming to them for? They do have some pretty well-known products. I mean, they carry vans, for example, or electronics and home goods that KitchenAid appliances, those kinds of things that, people are buying, at other big box stores and probably just don't think about going to Kohl's. So hopefully this is a good strategy for Kohl's to get people in the door. And I think, and to have greater awareness around their product, but I think it's not enough. So we're going to have to, really get Kohl's to kind of push their probably usual strategies for what they do with people in store. It's not just going to be, discounting sweaters or shoes or back to school typical retail plays. They're going to have to do something bigger to get people to go beyond the checkout desks or the Amazon return desks and really start to spend time in their stores if they want this to be successful.
So that's really, so I want to make sure that everyone gets that too, because it's really interesting what you're saying, especially with the Google conversation that we just had. So what you're saying is essentially that Kohl's is leveraging the fact that people are purchasing things on Amazon, right? Outside of their store. It has nothing to do with their store. And we'll go there next. But they're purchasing things on Amazon, and that's bringing people into the store.
Right.
By the same token, people are on Google's marketplace purchasing things there completely outside of a Kohl's interior physical shopping experience.
Exactly.
And those may not even be products that people would the typical Kohl's consumer would be going in to shop for. Like Van shoes was the example. We didn't even know. So you're saying take that data, correlate those two things together, and then as those people are in there, figure out a different way to talk to your consumer than the traditional tactics you're taking. I think that's really fascinating.
And for example, right now, when you return an Amazon product, part of your receipt that you get that acknowledges the Amazon return has a coupon on it for Kohl's. Right. So you're able to go in and get 25% off anything in the store. Well, that's a good traditional retail strategy to get people in there, but it's, again, bringing awareness to the types of brands and then really reinforcing
versus trying to reinforce old behaviors.
Exactly.
Yep. Wow, that's really interesting. Huh.
Yeah, maybe I interpreted it a little different. When Annie, you're talking about how to get people who actually are coming into Kohl's to actually experience and maybe purchase something else as they're doing a return. It almost reminded me of why the milk is in the back right corner of a store, right? To make sure that you go through everything else.
Right.
But I think if that's the strategy, and we're not saying it is, but if that's what they go after, all of a sudden you have a traditional retail experience at Kohl's and all the barriers and friction that are put into place there. You got to find a place to it's still not an awesome experience to go return an item from Amazon at a Kohl's, right? You have to go out of your way, you have to park, you have to walk all the way in. It's not that awesome. And and I get that it is better than maybe something else. Yeah. But I just wonder, I think there are better ways, and I wonder how long this is going to last.
Well, I guess I'd challenge that though. What are the better ways, I guess? If you have a physical product to return and you can't, you still have to go to a UPS station or something. I think if you're Kohl's, to your earlier point about services, I think it's what else are you providing for them while they're in there? Is there something else that you can do for them that justifies, because yes, parking is obnoxious, but I would argue, at least you have a parking lot in front of most Kohl's, and they're, in strip malls that are on, transit lines and stuff. So they are easy to get to. But I think that it's just paying off the actual act of having to go somewhere. If you can maximize somebody's time while they're there by giving them some other service or opportunity or doing something for them to pay for that, I think that's where Kohl's has an opportunity.
I wonder with the new fashion lines coming out and Amazon's new focus within clothing and accessories in the fashion world, I wonder if there would ever be an opportunity to say, you can come into Kohl's and you don't necessarily need to return it, or you can return it, but yet if it's an item that we have at Kohl's, we'll do a swap for a different size at that point. So you buy a pair of Van shoes on Amazon, they're a size too big. Instead of waiting for the vendor, wherever the distribution center is, to re-engage or resend you a new product, Kohl's has it right here, and it's an easy swap. Right? I don't think it'd be curious the other opportunities that Kohl's could play. Now, whether Amazon would be up for that or not, who knows? But it'd be interesting to see.
Well, it makes you wonder what strange bedfellows are in this relationship.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's what you guys, going back to what you guys were kind of just arguing about a little bit there. I think it's a little. I think you're both right. I think your point is, maybe it helps me with my returns. Maybe in the current situation it's more convenient, but God, there's got to be better ways that people are going to figure that out over time.
I just get angry every time I go to a department store, so I don't know. Maybe it's an unjust thing.
But your point is make it cool. And that was my point in the Fast Five too, is it's a problem. People don't want to go to UPS. Going to the post office or those places, it sucks. But, if I'm driving home from work, that can be a routine thing I do, but make it a cool routine thing I'm doing.
Right.
And somebody, and you always talk about this too, who owns the minutes in your life, right? Why can't some place own the minutes in your life and think about it that way and make it cool and exciting? I think so there's opportunities both ways, but you're right. If Kohl's is just, I think my thing, I wrote about this in the Rob Reporter too, is like if Kohl's is just saying, well, this is going to solve our problem, no freaking way in hell. Like, you got to do a lot more than that.
There's a lot of support that Kohl's is going to need to put behind this.
Yeah, and they got to supercharge how they're, I think, thinking about it more next generation. They should talk to guys like you.
You want to know what's cool? There's Amazon return centers. Those are cool. Like the actual return centers. Oh, yeah.
One of those. Yeah.
No, I mean, we were in Chicago and we were going to go return, or we were picking something up, but it was also a return center. And it's a thing just right in the middle of Chicago where there's a bunch of apartments everywhere and people don't have the opportunity. And go on, it's a tiny little thing. Everything from, and you basically, all you do is go generates a code and you just scan it. A label comes out and they have everything that you need right there. All the boxes, everything like that. It's all free. Take whatever you want. Throw the label on top and throw your item in and you're done. Yeah. And it was the easiest thing. There was no people. It was all based on the app. Like it was the coolest, easiest thing. You were in and out and gone. Now I get parking, all that stuff, but if you put it in the middle of Chicago, like they're not worried about parking.
Well, that makes sense for that demographic too.
Sure.
Especially for that location. I'm surprised Amazon, they're probably working on this. I'm surprised they haven't subsidized like some box that we can all put on our doorsteps in suburban America, almost like the old newspaper thing. What's old is new again. You pull that down, put it in there. Someone from Amazon comes, packages it up, takes all that out for you. For $10, you can have that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the innovation behind that is just around the corner. I mean, you have Amazon people at your house every day now, right? Exactly. And like, how hard is it for them just to throw a label on or whatever it might be?
Or here's the code to my door, my smart home door. Like, just come in. Here's the line on the floor when you.
Well, it's the same thing they do for delivery. You put an Amazon smart lock on, they can drop stuff off inside. Like, why couldn't they just pick something up?
Right.
Yeah. So the cool things are coming, is what you're
saying.
Or
maybe they'll realize that you made a mistake buying a shirt and be like, you don't need that. Bring this back, right?
Trust me, this is not that. Right. Well, that was awesome. That was great. Well, anything else, closing it up, anything else top of mind for you guys from the past week or just in general?
I think that was awesome.
Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Kroger, Tmall, like that's going to be huge. So it'll, they're just one of the few, happening. So I think I'm interested to see what the next kind of brands are going to be that are going to start testing that. Because like you said, it's pretty low to no risk there.
Yeah, after I wrote that article too, you know who else just announced that they're going on Tmall? I don't know if you guys saw this. Tiffany.
Yeah.
So you have
with like
super high price point
paper flower designs or something. Yeah, I mean,
you got Kroger with food and then Tiffany on the other spectrum. It's like, come on, guys, let's all get on the boat here.
I think the biggest thing, the barriers to entry to jump into that are like very minimal, and I think it's cool that you can just jump in there and try it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Somebody even on LinkedIn yesterday was like, "Well, what about all these things?" I was like, "Well, yeah, sure, but do whatever of them you want." He's like, "Oh yeah, that totally makes sense." So so anyway, cool. Well, hey guys, thanks a lot. I thought that was awesome. Yeah. I always love when you two get into a little.
I know. I feel like Chris makes it seem like we argue. Like I love Carter.
Yeah,
he's great.
I do too. And we even got into a little bit today too, more so.
Oh my gosh, he's trying to.
After 18 episodes of After the 5, and now you've removed my segment from the mix. We're like, where the heck did
we don't have that.
So I'm a little bitter, but now I can stand up for my own, I feel.
You guys let us know. You vote. Let us know if we need to bring back how millennial are you? So, Carter feels like
I feel like I have something, yeah.
But anyway, thanks for sticking with us. As always, thanks for tuning in. From Ann, Carter, myself, be careful out there.